Ubisoft is dying and they only have themselves to blame, and now they are panicking internally. They are canceling games, delaying games, laying hundreds of people off, and it looks like it's only going to get significantly worse for them because apparently their internal communications channels are flooded with employees openly shaming upper management and demanding serious changes. Their shares have crashed by 30% after the restructure news broke, and Ubisoft's next cost cutting measure could see another 2,000 plus jobs lost. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, the most insane part of this situation is in theory, Ubisoft could turn things around for themselves. If they fired the activists, if they hired veteran developers, if they made these development teams smaller and they actually put more effort into each individual game, and they started telling us the stories that we wanted again, they could make a lot of money and very quickly. Look at Assassin's Creed Shadows, for example. If they decided to not go the political correctness modern day propaganda route, they could have made $1 billion easy because people had been asking for an Assassin's Creed set in Japan for years. It should have been an easy win for them, but it wasn't because they decided to listen to the activists on their payroll. But now it's too late, right? Assassin's Creed Shadows came when didn't work. All of their games recently have came, they've gone, they've been forgotten about, and it's all in order to own the chuds, right? Hey, that's all they wanted to do. They didn't really care if they had a large audience. They just cared about doing the right thing and putting activism on display, and I guess the modern audience did show up to support these games. It's just that the modern audience is extremely small, and now they don't know what to do. They are scrambling, they are panicking, they're going through these major changes, and none of it is really working, and they are facing the consequences of their own actions. So I had talked about this in depth in another video, it will be linked down below, but just a few days ago we found out that Ubisoft canceled 6 projects, including the Prince of Persia Sands of Time remake. They had closed down 2 studios, confirmed further layoffs, and it looks like they are panicking. They are scrambling to cut costs, they are scrambling to make money, and none of this is going to work for them. The level of consumer confidence in this company is at an all-time low, and I would be shocked if they could turn things around because they have consistently disappointed us and consistently pushed customers away. Sure, I suppose anything is possible, but what is looking most likely right now is that Ubisoft is going to be broken up and shut down. I mean, there's no way that this is a positive sign for them. Ubisoft's shares have plummeted by over 30% after the news of the major restructuring broke. And keep in mind, this was the second announcement of a large company-wide restructuring. Ubisoft recently announced a significant restructuring that would focus on a new operating model emphasizing open-world adventures and games-as-a-service experiences. This news has evidently affected the company's stock, leading to a considerable drop in share value today. As revealed on Google Finance, Ubisoft shares had decreased by 33.78% today, and this was when the news broke. The day began with a share price of 5.26 euros, which has now fallen to 4.44. Over the past 6 months, the shares have declined by more than 50%. The drop comes immediately after the announcement of an organizational, operational, and portfolio reset, which led to the cancellation of the highly anticipated titles like Prince of Persia Remake, among others. But to top that off, apparently their next cost-cutting measure could be 2,000 plus employees fired. So it says that unfortunately for Ubisoft, things aren't going good because yesterday's Ubisoft announcement of massive restructuring had made headlines across the industry for canceling projects, closing down studios, and delaying projects. But one of the biggest announcements, for the most part, has been overlooked by many. According to Ubisoft, this will be the third and final phase of its cost cutting and will end by March 2028. So that's years away. Ubisoft is still going through its second phase, employees, which started 4 years ago and was a €300 million cost-cutting measure. In that time, Ubisoft has decreased its headcount from 20,729 to 17,097, a reduction of 3,632 developers. Ubisoft London, Osaka, San Francisco, Leamington, Halifax, and Stockholm have all closed their doors. More layoffs at the company will also be announced on February 12th, 2026. So, yikes. This looks extremely risky for them. If they needed all those employees in the first place, wow, what are they going to do now? Well, they're going to cancel games. They didn't actually need those people because those numbers were inflated, and it's just so funny to see them reaping the consequences of their own actions. Maybe they shouldn't have hired so many people for games they didn't all need to be making at the same time, and well, this wouldn't have happened. We also know that Tencent's €1.15 billion investment into the Ubisoft subsidiary Vantage Studios is almost double the entire market cap of Ubisoft at the moment, which is just so crazy. Okay, there is no possible way that the Access Media, that the people at Ubisoft, or even the SJWs that defend this company can sit here and say they're doing great. When Assassin's Creed Shadows released, when Star Wars Outlaws released, everyone on that side of the political aisle was saying, oh, they're perfectly fine. Yeah, sure, they've had some other games fail, but they're turning things around. All these games are going to be successes for them, and now we know that they aren't. But there's no possible way you can sit here and say they could turn this around very easily. I mean, there are definitely some people out there who are still very upset by this news because they knew so many characters Ubisoft had created, so many stories Ubisoft had told, and they still had love and nostalgia for this company, but they are a shell of the company that they once were. It's like Rocksteady. Modern day Rocksteady is nothing like the Rocksteady that created such amazing titles like the Arkhamverse in the past, and we should not really treat them the same anymore because they do not deserve that level of respect anymore. And since we've gotten all of this insane news, Ubisoft has been pointed at and laughed at and mocked by gamers, and they deserve it. We're even hearing that Ubisoft's internal communications channels are flooded with employees openly shaming upper management and demanding serious change, and the comment on this is, hey, at least they owned the chuds, right? Ubisoft's downfall was inevitable even before the pandering. All the crap they pulled just finally caught up with them, so their downfall was not surprising, but it was a matter of when. And yeah, hearing that their employees are raging internally and their employees are upset also isn't shocking because when you hire activists, you have to expect them to do what activists do, and that is bitch and moan and whine and groan and complain until they get their way and until they are treated like kings. And that is what is happening right now. Ubisoft is in the fuck around and find out stages. Ubisoft had any talent left? At least we owned the chuds. And then they die. They will pivot to AI pornography and call themselves Boobisoft. It's the obvious move. They'd make a few bucks off of it, that's for sure. After a small group of former Ubisoft developers went ahead and created Claire Obscure Expedition 33, that should have been a wake-up call. Watching Ubisoft burn is better than any game they can make. Ubisoft execs say gamers need to get comfortable with not owning your games. They did it to themselves. Rip Ubisoft. Talent is already leaving in large numbers. What talent? What's stopping these employees from forming their own studio? The fact that they're not talented and they're not good enough to actually run a studio. So, yeah, I will, of course, be covering this more in the future, but over the past couple of days, there's been so much new information releasing about Ubisoft, and it would be shocking if they came out and talked about this. I highly doubt it because their stocks are tanking, their employees are freaking out, they are clearly going through a disastrous period. And can Ubisoft make it out of this? Maybe, but it is going to take some very serious effort. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this important and informative, make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.